this stuff makes me sad, right? Strip away the sort of royal family sort of stuff. This is a family going through a bit of a crisis, and they've all fallen out, and that's sad for many reasons. I think for him to take responsibility, I think he has. He saw what happened to his mother, and the way she was treated by certain elements of the press, and the way that she sadly died. And I think he chose his wife over his family. And I think that rankles a lot with the family, who will feel a certain way, as lots of sort of quote-unquote normal families probably would. And I sort of fall on the side of, I think there's something deeply honourable, actually, and something really lovely about being so deeply in love with somebody, and people have their own opinions of her. I mean, I don't know her, and I just think, you know, leave her to it, whatever. And they see it as she split up the family. He's made his choice, and he's taken responsibility and gone, no, I'm putting my wife first. I do not want her to end up in the same way my mother did. And therefore he's made whether the family have acted in spite, families do that, we don't know. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't. Were the family worried about the broader picture of the royal family looking split? And you know, you want to, when you're the head of state, you want to look like you're united and stuff. So maybe you've acted in a way to protect the broader family. I don't know.
Welcome back. You know, it's easy to look at royalty and see the castles, the ceremonies, the luxury, and think, who would ever walk away from that? But then there's Prince Harry. Here's a man born into one of the most famous families in the world. A life already written for him, duty, tradition, a legacy that stretches back centuries. From the moment he opened his eyes, the world was watching. The cameras, the headlines, the pressure. But what the world often forgets is that behind every title, there's a human being. Behind every crown, a beating heart. And for Harry, that heart was shaped by loss, and eventually, by love. Because what happens when love comes into that picture and challenges everything? According to Matthew Tobin, Prince Harry didn't just make a choice, he made a statement. He chose love over being royal. He met Meghan, not just a partner, but someone who truly saw him. Not the prince, not the headlines, just Harry. And with her, he saw a chance at something radically different. A life built on mutual respect, compassion, and authenticity. Not hierarchy, not scandal, not tradition for tradition's sake. With Meghan, he found freedom. Not the kind that comes from leaving a place, but the kind that comes from being seen, understood, and loved. Fully. But the world didn't welcome that love with open arms. From the beginning, the media came for Meghan in a way we hadn't seen before. The coverage was relentless, cruel, and coded in ways that were hard to ignore. It wasn't just sensational, it was targeted, racial, personal. And Harry saw it happening in real time. For him, it wasn't just tabloid gossip, it was trauma, all over again. Because he'd lived through this kind of cruelty before. He watched it swallow his mother, Princess Diana, beloved by millions, hunted by the press. Every move documented, every word scrutinized, and in the end, it killed her. She died in a Paris tunnel, trying to escape the flashing cameras, a world that couldn't or wouldn't let her go. Harry was just 12 years old when he lost her. He didn't lose his mother to war or disease. He lost her to a culture of cruelty, a media machine that chewed people up and spit them out, then moved on to the next headline. And even as a child, he felt it. He knew something wasn't right, and he made himself a quiet promise, never again. So when he saw Meghan facing the same storm, the same harassment, the same isolation, that promise came rushing back. The wounds reopened, the fear returned, and he knew he had to act. He chose not the crown, not the comforts of the palace, but his family, the one he and Meghan were building, a family rooted in safety, love, and truth. It wasn't an easy decision. It came with criticism, with judgment, with backlash. People called him weak, said he'd been manipulated, said he betrayed his birthright. But what they couldn't see, or refused to see, is that sometimes real strength means letting go. Real strength is protecting what you love, no matter the cost. And real love? It's not always quiet. Sometimes it roars. Sometimes it means walking away from everything familiar, everything expected, just to protect your peace, your partner, your children. Because Harry didn't give up his identity. He claimed it. And here's the truth. Harry and Meghan's love, it's not a PR stunt. It's not a rebellion. It's real. In a time when so many relationships crumble under the weight of pressure, theirs has endured global scrutiny, open hostility, and wave after wave of misinformation. And still, it holds strong. Not because it's perfect, but because it's honest. Because they keep choosing each other, over and over again. That's not just love. That's resilience. That's courage. It's the kind of story that matters. One that challenges systems, defies expectations, and redefines what royalty can actually mean. Because royalty isn't just bloodlines and titles. Sometimes royalty is standing up for what's right, even when it's unpopular, even when it's painful. The British tabloids didn't just cover Harry and Meghan, they targeted them. Scene 2, distorting the truth. Day after day, they pushed stories soaked in bias. They took half-truths, twisted them into narratives, and sold them to the public as fact. Not to inform, but to control. And when Meghan refused to shrink herself to fit their mold, they turned on her, brutally. They questioned her every move, her motives, even her right to belong. And they did it with a tone they never used for anyone else. But Harry stood up. He stood up not just for his wife, but for his mother, for his children, for anyone who's ever been torn down by a system built to entertain through destruction. He drew a line. He said, "No more." And that line, that moment of walking away, wasn't weakness. It was strength. It was the strength to say, "I will not sacrifice my family for your headlines." It was love in action. It was peace over palaces, truth over tradition, love over fear. And let's be clear, that's not betrayal, that's bravery. That's what real royalty looks like.